McLaren ended a 170-race, 9.5-year win drought with Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris finishing first and second in the 2021 Italian Grand Prix. But the foundations for that success were built thanks to the rude awakening of 2018, when McLaren's Formula One weaknesses were brutally exposed. While the story of McLaren's struggles and recovery can be traced back to at least a decade before 2018, that was the season when it realised how far behind it really was and put in place the changes that are paying off today. Given McLaren has returned to winning ways and appears to be on a trajectory that will once again make it a World Championship contender in the future, the events of that year could go down as among the most important in the team's illustrious history. Let us know in the comments if you think McLaren really is on its way back to title glory as we work through the story of the decline, near fall and rise of one of F1's most famous teams. The last of McLaren's combined total of 20 world titles came back in 2008 when Lewis Hamilton won the Drivers' Championship, although you have to look all the way back to 1998 for its most recent Constructors' crown. Prior to Monza, McLaren's last victory came with Jenson Button in the 2012 Brazilian Grand Prix, but by that time its decline had already started, even though it didn't show up in the results. The loss of Adrian Newey to Red Bull for 2006, the $100 million fine for the spy scandal the following year, and losing engine partner Mercedes when it decided to set up its own works team by buying Brawn GP in late 2009, which we've already made a video about, all played their part. In 2012, McLaren actually had the fastest car on average, but reliability and operational problems meant it didn't last the distance in the World Championship fight, which also contributed to Hamilton's decision to join Mercedes. The following season, McLaren's long win drought began, with Button and new signing Sergio Perez struggling in a brand new car concept that didn't work, a costly decision given this was the last year of a rules cycle and it also had a knock-on effect for 2014. But confidence remained high, given that in May 2013 it renewed its partnership with Honda to recreate one of the most successful team and engine supplier partnerships in F1 history. But the high hopes for the Honda era started poorly. In 2015, the Honda was underpowered and unreliable. Considering Honda had talked up its expectations of coming into F1 with an engine package that could match Mercedes, it was a disaster. But progress was then made in 2016, with a much improved campaign leading to high expectations for the new Honda engine in 2017, which featured the split turbo concept used by Mercedes. Then, pre-season testing was a disaster, with its reshaped oil tank leading to problems and ensuring the season started badly. This led to McLaren, at great cost, bringing the Honda alliance to an end and signing a deal with Renault. This was the panacea that would solve all ills and unleash the potential of a team that had produced a car that it believed was up there with the best chassis-wise. And to measure that in 2018, fellow Renault-powered Red Bull was its stated benchmark. Before we get into the shock McLaren suffered in 2018, we wanted to let you know that this video is sponsored by Atlas VPN. Atlas VPN allows you to encrypt your data and hide your virtual location. It currently has more than 5 million users around the world and is available for use on all devices. A VPN is a virtual private network, so it gives you a new IP and DNS address and encrypts all your traffic, which is great for security and allows you access to content from your desired location. And it also has a new feature that gives you even more security, a tracker blocker. There's many benefits to a VPN beyond the security it offers. Some use it to watch sports coverage from other countries that may not be available in your location. But of course, you didn't hear about that particular trick from us. So if it sounds like a VPN for you, and if you're someone who uses the internet regularly, it definitely is, Atlas VPN has a very special, limited time only offer for you. For just $1.39 per month, you can sign up for 3 years of Atlas VPN, and that comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. For further details, click the link in the description below so you can take advantage of the security and flexibility of Atlas VPN. McLaren was nowhere near hitting its objectives for 2018. The first day of pre-season testing turned into a grand metaphor for the state of McLaren when Alonso shed a wheel and ended up in the final corner gravel trap. Meanwhile, Honda's new team, Toro Rosso, completed more miles than any one of the first 4 days of testing, with the technical team, then headed by a certain James Key, admitting to finding the Honda power unit far better than had initially been feared. Suddenly, the public narratives turned, and McLaren was no longer getting a free pass for its failures. McLaren's pre-season struggles were shrugged off. Confidence was high in the potential of the car, and 5th place for Fernando Alonso in the season-opening Australian Grand Prix, ahead of Red Bull's Max Verstappen, was seen by many as a new dawn. But it was a false one. McLaren had been 1.8 seconds off Red Bull in qualifying, and Alonso's result was boosted by the timing of the safety car, the Haas team's double pit stop disaster, and Renault driver Carlos Sainz making an error. So the penny still hadn't quite dropped, but the signs were all there that McLaren was a far bigger part of the problem than it believed it had been, something that Honda insiders had pointed to as far back as 2015, given the push for the infamous size zero packaging. While Honda certainly wasn't blameless, McLaren had many weaknesses too. Soon, it was recognised that there were endemic problems at McLaren. At a time when Red Bull and Mercedes were pouring in the cash, McLaren had fallen further and further behind, both in terms of facilities and operating processes. It soon became clear it was out of step with contemporary F1. It had become an evolutionary dead end of a team. Inevitably, the changes followed. The restructure came in July 2018, by which point there was no doubt the 2018 was a poor car plagued by rear-end instability only Alonso was able to live with, and with the fundamental design characteristics making it impossible to fix. Racing director Eric Bouyer resigned, and Brown started to assemble the prototype of what is now the structure that is in place. Andrea Stella, who to this day remains one of its lower-profile technical stars, was promoted to engineering director, and later that month, James Key was confirmed as joining the team, albeit with his start date not until March the following year, in place of Tim Goss as technical director. There was also an ongoing hunt for a team principal, with the architect of Porsche's LMP1 success, Andreas Seidel, also signing up with a start date of May 2019. McLaren CEO Zak Brown deserves enormous credit for this overhaul. Having joined McLaren in late 2016 with a huge reputation for sponsor getting, he wasn't always entirely convincing. While McLaren was struggling, his enthusiasm for the brand and heart-on-sleeve character, not to mention misplaced confidence in the technical team, made you wonder if he was out of his depth. But his response to the rude awakening of 2018 was swift, decisive, and a turning point in the history of McLaren. The recruitment decisions at the top were perfect. McLaren insiders had been frustrated by what was seen as an increasingly disconnected management, and some spoke privately of a team that simply wasn't enjoyable to work for anymore. But Seidel instantly convinced as what you might call a man of the people. Not only did he have the track record and previous F1 experience, but he had a very clear understanding of how to run a race team. Beyond that, he had a clear strategic vision and pushed for the investment required to get McLaren back on track. The Mercedes engine deal, the commitment to a new wind tunnel and the various other infrastructure projects were pushed by Seidel, including CFD capability upgrades, with Brown finding a way to make them happen. Key, of course, fed into this process as well, but he was quick to point out that before his arrival the technical team had started to get its house in order. The 2019 McLaren was a strong car and showed that the lessons of 2018 had been learned and the decline was starting to reverse. Key was able to focus on McLaren's catch-up process in mastering the subtleties of aerodynamics that the likes of Mercedes, Red Bull and Ferrari had mastered, promising various new concepts for the 2020 car. Over the past couple of seasons, the quality of McLaren's aero detail work has improved enormously, and the gap to the front has closed as a result. The decisions made off the back of the pain of early 2018, when McLaren's hubris was painfully exposed, set the team on the path back to winning ways. There's still some way to go to re-emerge as a championship-winning force, but the trajectory is encouraging. McLaren is embroiled in a battle with Ferrari for third place in the Constructors' Championship this year, with its Monza 1-2 giving it a 13.5-point advantage. But regardless of who prevails in that battle, McLaren is, along with Ferrari, best placed to become a threat for regular race wins along with Mercedes and Red Bull next year. The 2022 regulations are dramatically different, which has a twofold benefit for McLaren. Firstly, it's effectively a reset of the rules, allowing some of the baked-in disadvantages of the past to be eliminated. Secondly, it will be able to feed everything it has learned in recent years in terms of the underlying aerodynamic science to the new cars. On the downside, it is going to take time for McLaren's major infrastructure projects all to be completed. The new wind tunnel was delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic and won't be complete until late 2022 and up and running early in 2023. And its ambitious infrastructure upgrade programme won't be entirely complete until heading into 2024. But big gains have been made, including with a production capability that means McLaren has now closed the gap to Mercedes and Red Bull in terms of the speed with which new parts can be produced. In that regard, the 1-2 at Monza told us nothing we didn't already know, namely that McLaren is back on the right track. And with so many of the people who were there through the bad times, who were not the cause of its problems, still with McLaren, that's what made the Italian Grand Prix success such a glorious day for the team. It took McLaren too long to recognise its own weaknesses, but the turnaround has been stunningly fast. The fact it has gone from laughingstock to finishing 1-2 in just 3.5 years is proof that the team once again has the potential to be back at the top of F1 on a regular basis. Where once it was a question of if, now it is surely a matter of when. Let us know in the comments when you think McLaren will be ready to win the World Championship again, and if you like this look at the decline, near fall and rise of McLaren, remember to like and subscribe.